Afshin Shahi is an associate professor in Middle East Studies at Bradford University. He joins me here in the studio. Thanks for coming in to talk to us. So how surprised were you that the followers of Muqtada al-Sadr actually obeyed his call or listened to him and left the green zone in that way?
I'm not surprised at all. I mean, first of all, we have to remember that since 2003, he proved that he has this incredible ability to mobilize millions of people across the Shia society in Iraq. But over the last kind of 48 hours, the situation was really intense in Iraq. The stake was extremely high. Some commentators were possibly thinking that maybe Iraq is getting ready to enter another devastating civil war. So he was under a lot of pressure from various political factions within Iraq, as well as basically the regional powers. And after all, we cannot remember, ISIS was born out of political instability in Iraq, and if basically what just happened over the last couple of days could result in another civil war, probably he would be blamed for instigating and starting another major political eruption, which could lead to further political instability, which would not only have an impact on Iraq, but also the wider region.
And I mean, the stakes, as you say, are high, and we've heard from the Prime Minister saying that he might stand down if the political crisis continues. You had the President suggesting early elections as a way ahead. What kind of mechanisms are there to get out of this crisis? Because obviously the violence has stopped for the moment, but you're saying that it was kind of close to the situation where you could end up with another civil war.
Unfortunately, we cannot analyse the existing crisis in a political vacuum. You just mentioned what kind of mechanism, what kind of political mechanism exists which can help us to get out of what's happening right now in Iraq. The simple answer for that is we don't have that kind of effective mechanism. It seems that right now in Iraq we have a very fragmented kind of state without a nation. The Iraqi nation is also far too sectarian, far too fragmented, far too divided, and that frankly makes it extremely attractive for the regional players like Iran to interfere in the country. The problem is that most of the institutions which were created after 2003, despite the fact that, you know, at times they have some democratic mandate, but they don't have the necessary kind of ability and capacity to kind of control the situation. It seems that the power is divided between far too many fractions in the country, and that creates a perfect environment, a perfect political landscape for regional political players like Islamic Republic of Iran to interfere in the political system. That's why there is no easy kind of solution out of what we see at the moment in Iraq.
You mentioned Iran, and there was fighting between Shiite factions yesterday, some Iran-backed and others loyal to Muqtada al-Sadr. How much influence actually does Iran have in all this? I mean, how much?
You know, Iranian influence since 2003 until today has gone through so many different phases. Obviously, Iran is not as influential as what it used to be, even 4 or 5 years ago, even at the time that Qasem Soleimani was alive. Iranian influence is diminishing, but we cannot argue that Iran doesn't have any influence whatsoever. There are a lot of extremely powerful militias in Iraq that are directly or indirectly connected to Iran. But there is something that we need to remind ourselves, that generally, if we want to look at kind of Iraqi history over the last 20 years, anytime there has been crisis, anytime there has been political turmoil, that automatically meant good news for the Islamic Republic of Iran. In my opinion, what's happening at the moment, the political crisis and the political instability that we see in Iran doesn't automatically mean that it will pave the way for exclusion of Iranian kind of influence in Iraqi political landscape.
Afshin Shahi, thank you very much indeed for your analysis. Thank you for talking to us.
Thank you.
Lots more still to come this hour, including sunken hopes, the search for answers in Lebanon's